little fucky right now.
Mercury is in microwave. Okay.
Mercury's in my brains right now, so.
Okay. So this is episode 11 of the Closet of let's start that over. I do that every time.
The closet. Oh wait, 11. I like that number. I'm really happy that it's
Yeah,
11.
it's episode 11 of the Closet of Nonsense. There, I said it without stuttering. Jobin actually told me I need to learn to shut the fuck up and think before I talk, and I explained that that would pretty much negate my entire existence. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thinking before you. A little overrated.
Yeah, just ask any politician ever. Duh. Duh. Okay, so
Duh.
I am on the horn, and of course this isn't going. I am on the horn here. Horn? Can you even say it? You're on the horn with somebody now? I mean, we don't use real phones.
I don't even know what that means.
That's important that you don't know what that means. That's the best part. Like, because the old phones used to look like a horn.
Okay, that's exactly what I thought you were talking about, but okay, cool.
Yep.
I'm old. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm on
Sorry.
VidChat, Messenger, something. Yeah. I am communicating via electronic device with, well, I'm going to say Shelly, but we're going to go right into that. You have like 9,000 names because you have the biggest resume of anyone I know, just in the fact that you're like different people.
Yes, I have many different.
Yeah, you have a multiple personality resume. It's very strange. And you've gone through different changes. Like it's been Darling Jameson, Rochelle Darling Jameson. You've got the married name in there on Facebook. And then you've got, this whole other persona, Dahlia Ray, that is your like cam girl / is that going to be your music persona now?
I mean, as of right now, it is. I'll probably keep it that way because it's just easier. Like, I have to be honest, it's a lot of fun to like make up all these different names and different personalities, and every single personality is a part of me. But it does get confusing, being like, well, Dahlia Ray, or is this, but then, it gets confusing, and I like being able to go on cam and talk about my music and not feel like I'm hiding something, if that makes sense. I don't know, can I ramble for a minute, or are you going to ask more?
Say what you want. Yeah, of course.
Because, I don't know, for a while, I really wanted to keep, like, the nude modeling and stuff that I do on cam separate from my music, because I felt like it was too, I don't know, I didn't want to cross those worlds, because I was like, well, these are my boobs, but like I'm also sentimental. And then I realized, like, why do I have to like put it in different categories? Why can't I show my boobs and be a songwriter? Like, why does it have to be mutually exclusive? Is that the word?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, and that's every woman, really. What you just described is, take me for what I am, regardless of what it is. So it makes sense to me. I just deal with it a lot because I'm friends with so many models and strippers and things who go by different stage names, and musicians even who have different names. And that's one of the things that has always kind of been striking to me is, what do I call you in public? Like, if you don't know somebody, do you call them by their real name? Do you call, if you've met somebody, like there's even people that I consider myself friends with that I still call them by their stage name, simply because there might be people listening that don't know their real name.
Exactly. And I do respect that when people, they want to keep anonymity. Now I'm the one fucking up words.
It happens.
People want to keep anonymity. What? Sorry, someone trying to face. No one talks to me until I'm being productive. It's amazing. Okay, yeah, I respect anonymity, but I don't know, for me it just got like too confusing. And I don't know, I like the idea of being someone that, like, I don't know, I just want to show the world, like, hey, like, you can do all these things. And I'm not really too afraid for my safety. I think that's a lot of people's concern, but knock on wood, I've been doing what I've been doing for 6 years, and I've never had a problem. I've run into like nothing but respectful people. So
Well,
hopefully it stays that way.
yeah, that's good. Well, and like I say, like I've had you saved as Batman for quite some time because it's much easier.
I love that you call me Batman because like that was my biological father's nickname.
That's even better. I just do it because you have a utility belt of tools, and
Oh my god. Wait, I was waiting for the perfect moment to show off my toolkit. Can I show it to you?
of course you can.
Okay. Because I'm a strong, independent female that doesn't need no man, even though men are like really great. Um, Look at my toolkit that I got for myself. One second, I'm unzipping it. I'm unzipping it. How do I flip? Oh,
Oh
it's
my
all pink.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Everything in my house I built all of this with my pink toolkit.
That's fucking
So,
great. I love that I get a lot of shit when we go, like, especially when you go to, like, conventions, because I have makeup kits and I have toolkits and all that stuff. And all of my very quote unquote feminine stuff I keep in, like, toolboxes and fishing tackle boxes and things like that. That's how I keep it separate. But my sewing kit is bright fucking pink.
fuck yeah.
No
That's
one's
awesome.
stealing my fucking sewing kit because you can see it from
No.
like 400 yards away.
I love it.
Um, so you talk about picking names and things like that, and one of the things that has, you know, how everybody picks their porno name, like they pick their whole like if you were a porn star it'd be this or that and the other. Well, now it's becoming, especially now that we're on fucking all this bullshit, it's even more prominent to me now that people are picking OnlyFans names or camgirl names or things like that. And I randomly wrote down, like, if I were a cam model, what would be like the most extreme, because I have so many nicknames too. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I go by Psychotic, I go by Space Ghost, I go by, I mean, technically Eric is a fucking nickname. It is. So I have all that. I decided Wombat Dominator would be my.
That's fucking awesome.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of like, because it really, it sounds like really powerful, but at the same time, it's not all that impressive. So it's kind of perfect.
I don't know. It's like not too, but it's threatening. Like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, I
So
really like
good.
it. Yeah, it goes right along. Because, of course, you know, everybody's, oh, you should go be Metal Shrek. You should this, you should that. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to make something completely different.
Wombat Dominator. I wish I. That's so good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Of course, then the conversation came up. It was 4th of July, and we were all hanging out and everybody's sitting there talking like, well, yeah, but it's not like you could do anything anonymous like everybody else because you have all these tattoos. And I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, how many people have actually seen my tattoos? Not that many. I could probably get away with some shit.
I know it's always the question of, but I have tattoos.
Yeah.
I actually get more tattoos to be more noticed. Like I want people to be like, that is Shelly, that's Dahlia Ray's butthole. I can tell because I know those tattoos.
There you go. See, it's all about, you know, finding balance. Balance is important.
Yes.
You actually mentioned just now, you said it a way that a lot of people, it's becoming more and more common, quote unquote, but you just actually said your biological father, and you've had kind of an interesting family dynamic, and I don't know how comfortable you are talking about all of it, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's really important and a huge part of not only your who you are as a person, as a friend to me, but it's a huge part of your music.
yeah.
That you've had this really interesting family history.
Totally.
So I guess I'd really like to see if, I mean, as much as you're willing to share without, and you're allowed to cry. You just
Okay.
talked about butthole, so you're allowed to cry too.
Yeah,
As long as you're not crying about butthole, because then we have a problem.
I mean, what if you see like a beautiful butthole and it brings you to tears?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Oh man.
In my head,
Well,
it wasn't good. Just know that it wasn't. It wasn't a good time.
there's nice buttholes out there, Eric.
I'm
Some
angelic butt.
sorry. um. Anyway, that's a perfect segue into my tragic life story.
There you go.
You
I'm
want
a
me just like
helpful person.
you want me to give like a little like brief rundown of it?
Yeah. However you
Okay.
want to get into it.
So my parents met in Hollywood, California. My mom was dancing at Seventh Veil, which is like, I mean, anyone listening that doesn't know what that is, it's like very popular strip club on Sunset Strip. And then my dad was managing the Guitar Center across the street, which is still there. And this was, I want to say, back in the 80s, late 80s. And he went in to watch her dance. He fell in love, and then I was conceived. And they were both really talented people. My mom was modeling. My dad was signed to a few like major record labels. He was touring the world. And then they just kind of went down this rabbit hole of, I mean, that a lot of artists go down, this depression rabbit hole, and got really into heroin. And they both ended up ODing like shortly. I mean, not shortly after I was born, but my mom passed of a heroin overdose when I was 5, and then my dad passed away when I was 8 of a heroin overdose as well. And then I got adopted, and that was crazy because I was adopted by my aunt and uncle, super, super fundamentalist Christians at the time. Very strict household. I had like 10 brothers and sisters. So I went from being like an only child to having 10 siblings, and then they got divorced when I was probably 14. And my mom remarried, my dad like eventually remarried, and I don't know, the last time I saw my family was at my wedding a couple of years ago, and I don't really talk to any of them anymore. Like it's always been just a weird fucky situation. It's like everyone has this life story, but I don't know. I'm fortunate to be pretty tight with my adoptive mother now, who I just call her adoptive mother because I don't know, so I don't confuse the story, but she's my mom through and through. And I feel really lucky to have her in my life because she chose me, you know? She chose to raise me, and even though it wasn't always perfect, she accepts who I am now. She knows what I do for a living, and she loves me for who I am. Like it's amazing. But yeah, pretty crazy life story. And I don't know, the hardest part I think that bleeds through my music is all the grunginess of my early childhood, like heroin needles everywhere. I remember going to school and like my parents were running some sort of escort business out of our house when I was like 7, and we had a bunch of like sex workers living with us. They were nice. They were all nice. Really, I mean, everyone was nice. There wasn't ever physical abuse or anything like that. Like the most amazing people, just super, super into drugs and stuff that, you know, you probably shouldn't expose a really young kid to. And I remember there was one lady, I think her name was Trixie. She sent me to school in her jacket because everyone else was passed out from partying the night before. Trixie was the only one awake, so she sent me to school in her jacket because I couldn't find mine. And I was standing in the line to go to lunch at school, and I put my hands in my coat pocket, and there was like a syringe just like chilling in the pocket. And I knew that I couldn't tell my teachers because I would go to foster care and my parents would get locked up. So I just kind of kept it a secret until I I mean, social services eventually got called because people could tell that shit was fucked up, and it was really hard. Like, I was such a golden kid. I was the first kid in my class that could read. I was always winning these awards for like being like a good kid, and then like good grades. I was like talented in school. All of this stuff, I thought I was like, it was great. I was great. And I got called to the principal's office the last day of second grade, and they like go over the intercom. They're like, "Can Shelly please come to the office, to the principal's office?" And every kid in the class was like, "Ooh, Shelly's in trouble." It was so mortifying because I was like so afraid of the principal's office. I'm like, I just feared authority a lot. I didn't want to be in trouble. And I get to the office and they were like two police officers just chilling in there, and they're like, "You're not in trouble, just sit down, we have a few questions to ask." And they like pulled out like pill bottles, like prescription pill bottles, the little orange ones. They're like, "Do you know what these are?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Do you have them at your house?" Like, "Yeah." They're like, "Do you see them a lot at your house?" And I'm like, "Mm-hmm." Like, just answering questions. And then they're like, "Well, you're not going home today, you're going to foster care." And that was like one of the last times I saw my dad. Like, I went to school and not knowing that my whole fucking world was gonna go like, or sorry, get flipped upside down. And yeah, after that, like, my dad was trying to get clean and he couldn't, and eventually passed away. So lots. I mean, I could go into more detail, but I mean, people can fill in the blanks. Like, anything fucked up that could have happened. Watched my mom or watched my stepmom OD in a bathtub. Like, crazy shit. Crazy shit. So that's a brief rundown of my life.
You just glaze that over. That's literally like, oh, this is the most traumatic thing ever. Let's play some happy music. That's not how that works. The biggest reason I wanted you to get into that is because, and we've talked about it a million times, especially on the long car trips and things like that. Like, your interests, your soul, particularly musically, and also in some of the movies that we've like talked about, is set in a time before you were really born.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's they form, especially, they say that between 11 and 15 is when you start really developing like a musical style that you like, that you relate to your entire life. And you almost personify, as for me, we're musically the same age. The music you listen to and the music I listen to is almost identical. And I think that that's really interesting. And I think a lot of that is because of you grew up pretty instantly really early.
Yeah.
And I think it would be like, for me, even like, I know, I mean, Jesus, I have a copy of your fucking yearbook here from Fruit. and I've looked through it, and it's hilarious. Like, you're just a different person in that setting than the person that I know. And so seeing the different aspects and knowing these different things of who you are, you always hear it. And I talked about it actually in the last episode with St. Sasha. You always hear daddy issues or abandonment issues, and that's why somebody's in sex work, or that's why they're a stripper. And of course that shit exists, but it also exists in like lawyers and librarians and doctors. It exists everywhere.
It does. It doesn't matter. It is I'm really glad you are talking about that, because I was hoping that you would. I was hoping that this would segue into the concept of daddy issues, which, you know, used to be funny. Like, haha, she has daddy issues. But, like, to be completely honest, dude, about 7 months ago, I put myself into therapy and actually had to fucking address my daddy issues, because it really, like, if you don't address that shit, it does take a toll on your fucking life, regardless of if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a sex worker, a birthday clown.
It really doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. How you're raised, the environment you're raised in, affects everything.
Yeah, it does.
So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm glad we're finally You and I don't talk about this enough, and we probably should talk about it more. But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that whole thing with abandonment issues, like, I mean, yeah, did it make going into sex work a much easier decision for me? Yeah, because I knew, like, that I wouldn't have a dad not liking it or not supporting it. Because, yeah, I don't think many dads want to think about their daughter doing sex work. So the fact that I didn't have to worry about that made the decision so much easier. And would I be doing sex work if my father was still alive and we have an amazing relationship? Probably not. Probably not. I probably would have had a much different life and probably never would have not, I don't know, needed is a weird word, but at the time I did need to go into sex work because it made the most sense for my life. So yeah, it is prominent amongst a lot of nude models, sex workers of any kind, to not have parents or to have an absent father. It is common, but it doesn't need to be like joked about.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big thing, and abandonment issues, dude, like, that will fuck up every relationship that you ever have. If you're always afraid that people are gonna leave you, like, you're gonna have a really hard time having healthy relationships as an adult. And I had to go to counseling about it because I was like, why do all my relationships keep failing? Why do I keep dating guys that are abusive? Like, why do I stick around when guys are abusive? Like, I'm better than this. And I really had to go deep and address those. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working on my abandonment issues. So yeah, it's a big thing, man.
Well, and then you look at the flip side of that. I mean, you know me, and yes, I'm, 15 years your senior. You've seen how messed up I am. I mean, name one person you know that's actually on the outside as crazy as I am. And there's really no excuse for it. My parents were great. Yes, my mom is an alcoholic, and there was issues there, but what I dealt with growing up was so much support and so much help and so much assistance. And yeah, it was tough, and there were times where I would look at my older sister and be like, why is it so much easier for her than it is for me, or blah, 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 blah. But I'm real fucked up, and I know it. Like, I laugh at horror movies, I am not shocked by anything ever, I'm virtually unfazable, and it's the same thing where people say, it is your environment. If I hadn't had that, if I'd had an environment like yours, I'd be in prison right now. Hands down, I know I would be in prison right now. Because I'd have killed a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And people don't think about that kind of thing. Like, it is environment. It is what comes up and how you're raised and what you do. What you like, what you focus on, how you deal with it, and the things that you put out in the world are equally as important as the things you take in. And that's why it is so hard. Yeah. Well, I look at you, and you just said with your relationships. I have the two best relationships I've had, the most in love I've ever been. Both those women left me because they have abandonment issues. And I know it hands down. Now, at the time I was in the relationship, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that they had one foot out the door the whole time. I can see it now. And there's not a goddamn thing I can do about it. I fucked that up. It goes both ways. That door is definitely a double swinger.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why, I don't know, for me it's important because I do struggle, not struggle, I do, I don't know, I guess struggle is a fine word for it, with depression because of the way I grew up and how many people I lost. Yeah, I do struggle with it, and like you said, it's very important, like, what you take in is very important, and yeah, there are a lot of things that we take in that are not necessarily our fault. Like, sometimes, in life we're dealt hands that just kind of suck. But there are things that we can control that we intake, like what we watch or what we listen to or whatever. And that's so important in rewiring some of that thinking. And that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm like, yeah, no, I can't control the fact that my parents, were drug addicts and OD'd when I was young, but I can control, like, what I watch on TV. And if I'm watching like trash television that doesn't help my brain think different ways, then I'm just feeding that like depression monster, you know?
Well,
Uh,
and I think everybody falls into that trap. They fall. I mean, and everybody's susceptible to their own rabbit holes. But
yeah.
when you start, there are certain things certain people can't watch. I know that because I'm friends with so many women, any woman that's been in a bad relationship, particularly a very physically abusive relationship, and they're like, we should watch a movie or we should do this. I have to like really kind of censor what I am okay with watching with them, because I don't want to watch them get triggered over something. When they're trying to be distracted, they're suddenly right back there. And I find it, I don't know, and there's certain music, everybody has that one song that can always just play on repeat, and it makes them either feel better or feel worse, and sometimes you just force yourself to cry, or sometimes you just someone's trying to FaceTime you again.
No, my phone was telling me to plug it in because it's dying.
it, death to electronics. No, I guess what?
Oh, I was just yelling death. Sorry, that was
You
unnecessary.
just want to yell death? There's nothing wrong with yelling death.
Death! Yeah, it helps me accept it more.
There you go. Facing, and there's the watermelon. Forgot you had watermelon.
Me too.
That makes it even better. I don't know. I guess I just look at things, and the fact that you do express so much, and we've talked so many times about how you for a little while there kind of made some soulless music, just some pop and things like that. I've attributed some of that to being in Hollywood, making the move from being a quote unquote Colorado girl to being in Hollywood, and putting down the acoustic and picking up the studio life a little more. I attribute that equally to you in dealing with your own inner demons. I mean, you went through a period where you were stone cold sober for a while. You went through a period where you were obviously touring and doing different things and living a completely different lifestyle, what most people would be a dream. And you got to experience all of it, from the wow, this sucks, I'm going to kill everybody, I haven't showered in 8 days, to the I can't believe I'm on this tour and this is so cool and I'm seeing the world.
Yeah.
You see all aspects of it, and I think that who you are as a person set you up. Your history and your experiences set you up kind of to be ready for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess
So,
I just think that, and that's why I wanted you to share your family history and the fact that because so many people stereotype shit, and I'm having a real issue right now with, especially with all the protests and all these things that are going on. Because you admit it, the world is fucking. Kanye's running for fucking president.
I know.
The world is crazy, and,
Dude,
and we are the assholes of the fucking world right now. The U.S. is just. We are such reality TV crap right now.
For real, man. It's just sad and hilarious at the same time. Like, I go through waves every day, or either I'm like, everything's fucking hilarious, or damn, I'm actually deeply sad about the state of
Right,
the world, right?
it's like almost emotionally terrifying, and I've been dealing with, especially with all, because I've been following all the riots, the protests, and things, which the media is not following right now. They're acting like it's not happening. And you live in LA, you're seeing it. You know there's still people marching.
Oh, every day. Every day when I go to this juice bar in Silverlake, and there's probably at least 15 to 20 protesters that block one lane of traffic every single day. And I'm not kidding, it's every fucking day.
Yeah, and like it's still going on. Like I'm having a problem with kind of this not only systemic racism that seems to have been just ingrained in our nation as a whole, but also the idea that people have these stereotypes that they attach to, and they can even be positive stereotypes, but it's still a stereotype. And until we start getting past that, this shit's not over.
No. God, I have so many opinions about this. And the one that I'm on today is more of my conspiracy way of thinking. I think that, we are not born racist. We're not born thinking stereotypes about people. Those are learned over the years by media, by music, by people older than us that have also it through media and music, etc. So whoever is like pushing this onto the people, they know that they're doing a really good job at dividing us, because if we're divided and we think about how separate everybody is, we are a weak force because we're divided. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and of course, the art of war says that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and unfortunately, we're dealing in. I believe I've been coming out more and more as like I'm not anti-government. I'm not, but I'm pretty anti-establishment in the way things are done. And I believe that if you have a government that's going to be out there and it has a role in life, then it should do that role on a moral compass that makes fucking sense, not some random, oh, this is capitalism. And there are fucking stores popping up they're called the COVID-19 essential stores. You're capitalizing on people dying.
Yeah.
And that's not fundamentally wrong?
Dude, it is fucked. And I don't know, like, obviously people are getting sick. There is a virus. Like, there is something making people sick. But, and there's so many ideas about where the virus came from, but blah, blah, blah. But I can't help but think, like, when I was walking through Griffith Park today, I was looking at everything, and now more than before, way more people are staying inside because they reopened everything in LA and then kind of shut it back down. So everyone's a little shaken up. And now everyone's wearing a fucking mask, where before people were a little bit like lenient. They were kind of walking close together. But like today when I was hiking, as soon as someone sees you, they put their mask on and they they just book it to like the other side of the hill. It's like everyone is so afraid of each other right now, and I feel like it's like, I don't know, I'm so conspiracy about it, because I'm like, everyone's so divided because of the race war and because of the riots and everything with that, and then on top of that, we're all afraid of each other because we all think we're gonna get each other sick. Like, we are not a strong unity of people right now. We're very divided. And it's just what is like the perfect plan to control people. If everyone's divided and everyone is afraid of each other and racist towards each other and scared that someone else is going to give them the fucking plague and kill them just by like being near them, it's just so divisive. It's so fucking...
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of fear, an element of violence, the idea of being self-protective, of taking care of self or taking care of your own, but fuck everybody else. I don't think people understand. Like, people talk about the riots and the things that went on in the 60s. They talk about how the civil rights movement and women's rights movements and things, how there was always things that fueled change. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of really, really bad shit. A lot of people were assassinated for speaking their mind. And I feel like the way that people are talking now is similar to what those people who lived through that talked then. And we always talk about, the world works in cycles and it rotates through and cycles. So this is a terrifying cycle to me, like, in a weird way. Like, I want these changes. I want to see this shit go right, but there is so much stupid on this fucking planet right now that I don't know how that works.
I feel like now more than ever, it's crucial to think for yourself. Like, really fucking crucial. Like, it's kind of life or death, I want to say. Like, because there's so many things being pumped at us through Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the news, music, everything is just like blasting us with ideas. And I feel like these days a lot of people they don't really like know who they're voting for. They don't really know what they're saying when it comes to like different politicians. Like, I think we can all agree that Trump can be a you know, he talks like an idiot sometimes or whatever, but like I don't know if people actually go through everything and research everything to like really figure out how they feel about different social like subjects and different politicians and their ideas. Like it's like, oh, here's a funny meme that's bashing somebody, let me repost it because it sounds funny and everyone else is doing it. Like,
And that's
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
There are some people who are educated solely by memes, and it's fucking showing right now.
It's really fucking showing. It's just people don't realize what they're doing. And it's so like I feel like now more than ever too, like people are even dividing on that plane because you like someone that you've been friends with for years because you guys are just fucking pals, all of a sudden you're not friends because they said a little something that you didn't agree with, and instead of like actually having an educated debate about it, it's like, oh no, fuck you, you're racist, goodbye, like never talking again, blocked. And it's just not leaving room for communication or educated conversations.
Well, and that's kind of a new thing too. You just said it right there. Blocked. People have stopped doing the whole I'm just going to avoid that person. I'm just going to not talk to that person for now they're like being blocked on Facebook, being blocked on Instagram. This wave of I'm going to just eliminate them is not something that anybody 20 years ago would have ever considered being offensive. Like, ooh, so you're not going to email me back, or you know, if you didn't like somebody, you just didn't hang out with them, and now it's like, no, I gotta block them. I gotta block them. I gotta be, and it causes this whole online war almost.
It does, dude. It's fucking weird. Like that's something I recently learned because I have this really great friend here in LA, and I usually confide in them when like I'm trying to make sense of shit. And I said something like, "Oh man, I need to like cut some people out of my life," and they're like, "Well, what? Like, why don't you just kind of distance yourself or create new boundaries?" I'm like, "Wow, that's a great concept. Like, you don't have to just like block people and cut them off. Like, you can communicate. That's why we have words. That's
Yeah.
why we can speak to each other. Why else would we have these speaking tools, you know?" I don't know, just I have like just become such a homebody, and I have like very, very, very close friends, few, and I'm just kind of I have to just go with like my internal compass now. Like if this doesn't feel good, I'm not really gonna keep it around in my vicinity, you know? Because I don't know, I just can't deal with the media or opinions anymore. And that's a huge thing for me right now because I just went through, like, you know this, but whoever's listening, like I just went through like 7 months of probably the most depressed I have ever been in my life. Like so fucking depressed. I went broke. My mental health went to shit. My physical health declined quickly, and now someone gave me great advice, and it was like only allow things in your life that inspire you. Like if something doesn't inspire you, then why is it in your life, you know? And it makes so much sense. We are not put on this earth to suffer. Yeah, we do experience suffering, but like we can do certain things to kind of eliminate a lot of that suffering.
Well, and you can
And
also, it's not just eliminating the suffering. You can, by identifying issues, identifying triggers, you tend to develop better relationships with people, more wholesome relationships, friendships, relationships with family, everything. It's all of it. I had a conversation with a girl on Snapchat the other day. She posted, and it was kind of a funny thing. She's like, look for a love like crows have, where they will bring you tiny little trinkets to put in the nest when they want to show off. That's how they court and mate. And I'm like, that's amazing. And somebody underneath it had posted, well, that's the whole, like, when you cherish something now, you send them the really funny memes that only they get, or you send them the really ridiculous jokes that only they get. That's the new culture of that. And finding a way to appreciate. And I think that there's a lot to be said there of if you decide to eliminate the things that affect you negatively, the things that affect you positively actually try to seek you out more.
Yes, dude, it is so freaking true. It's so true. It's like one of those life, if life's a video games, like, or if life is a video game, like that's one of the cheat codes. You know, like
Totally. Do up, down, right, left, X, Y, and suddenly you have a best friend to hang out with that's actually good and supportive there.
yeah, like I, ever since I kind of I kind of just dropped out of the scene. I was really wrapped up in it for a second, the Hollywood bullshit. And I've been like reclusing in my house, like in a really like beautiful recluse kind of way, not like a scary recluse. Um, and talking to just the people that add value and bring inspiration to my life, and not trying to, I don't know, ever since I started doing that, everything has like, it just, like you said, it like good things come in without you even trying. It just, when you're like vibrating on this level of like gratitude and good things coming in, like good things keep coming in. I do this thing, it's one of my little like manifesting like witchy things that I like to do, because parking sucks by my house because I live right off Hollywood Boulevard. um, Parking sucks dick, but I do this thing where I envision a parking spot right in front of my house, and as long as I'm like, living in this good rabbit hole or something, I always get that fucking parking spot. But if I'm all wrapped up in bullshit, I never get a parking spot.
And then you're walking blocks and hoping you remember where you parked and all that fun shit.
Yeah, getting tickets, all this shit. So
It's like yeah, and that's the thing. It's like when people, I call it roadblock thinking. People put up roadblocks, they put them in their own way. It's not other people doing it. It's not other circumstances doing it. It's them doing it to themselves. Yes, bad things happen to all people, good and bad. Bad shit just happens. That is the way things go. Good shit also just happens if you get the shit out of the way that's stopping it.
totally. And I have to like say this while we're on this subject. I think there's a really big culture, and I've found myself kind of getting into it on accident sometimes, but like these memes that almost like romanticize depression and feeling like a piece of shit about yourself. Like I hear so many people my age in particular go like, "Oh, I'm so trash," or like, "Oh, I'm so like I'm just a trash human." And it's like, you don't realize, like, you may be joking and it's funny because a lot of people say it, but like those words, like you're telling yourself that, and you don't have to be trash. You can be like fucking rad, and you can tell yourself you're fucking rad. Like,
I have had several friends do that, and I usually get into arguments with them or say, don't do that, or think, like, Skylar's one of them. Skylar's always like, man, I am trash. But it's usually when he does something legitimately like, oh, man, I really fucked up. I really fucked that up. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm trash. He knows that we don't think he's trash. He knows he's not actually trash. He just tends to say that. But I do have this one friend, and I'm going to call her out because we've had this conversation a million times, and I love her to death. She's a makeup artist. She goes by Gorhees or Brittany Gorhees. She does fantastic makeup work. We're talking like transformations into fucking different monsters, to mythical beings, to just glamour shit. She's amazing. And she, only in the last year, I've been following her for several years, but only in about the last year has she stopped calling herself trash. And I can't count the number of times I sent her messages or shot her a snap or sent her something just asking her to please not say that, to not think of herself that way, because I know so many people that do actually think of themselves that way. I have a friend right now that I hope to fuck she's listening, and I actually want to say her name, but I'm not going to, who she legitimately cannot see anything positive about herself in any way. She has, and she's gorgeous, she's intelligent, she's talented, she's all these things. And I actually, in a conversation with this girl, I brought the conversation of her and the fact she's to Brit. And Brit was, because she posted about a week ago, she's like, I'm just going to keep posting kind of risque stuff of myself on Twitter until I don't hate my body. And I'm actually kind of proud of her for that, because
Mm-hmm.
she's finally making an effort to not be dysmorphic, to not second guess herself. And I think that that's something that, and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe this has been going on a lot longer, but I don't know that many people that I remember from my time in high school, even the really thin goth girls, going, "I'm so trash, I'm so stupid." Yeah, you'd hear the whole, like, "I want to die," or "I wish I was dead," or "I wish I was a vampire," or you'd hear that stuff, especially in the goth scene, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like so derogatory in kind of like self-hate speech.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if that's like, is that an educational thing? Is that a generational thing? Or is it something that's just become so common that it's okay to just not give a fuck about yourself?
Dude, I don't know. There's so many. Like, I notice in the way people talk, people will. I don't know if it happens like where you are, but here, something I've been noticing in people's speech is like that, and then they'll go, or this, like they'll go into something super passionately, and then and they'll they'll like ramble for a minute. And at the end of their like passionate ramble, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just talked too long. Like, I'm so sorry." Like, why are you apologizing
Like
for that?
negating
Like,
their own opinion and their own thoughts. That's not okay.
no.
I mean,
Or
there
like
is fishing for compliments too. There are those people like, "I'm so ugly." Shut the fuck up. We don't need that shit. You know you're hot. We know you're hot. Deal with it. That's different.
that's different. It's more when you see people that are just like badass fucking people without even trying, that go into these passionate like these passionate rants, or and then apologize for being passionate and fucking cool and actually giving a damn about something. Or I notice people will say something like blah 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 blah. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? Like, this thing at the end of a sentence, or saying blah 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 blah. Oh, just kidding. Like, no, you weren't just kidding. Like, communicate.
Those
And
people who put LOL at the end of every text that might actually be an argument or something derogatory to soften the blow.
yeah, and I've been guilty of that too. I don't know. I'm really noticing it in other people, and it's making me not want to. Like, say what you mean and mean what you say. And if you are making a joke, then make your fucking joke. Like, execute it. Execute that shit.
Yeah, I guess I look at a lot, and of course, yes, there are differences. Hollywood it's Hollyweird. We've talked about it a million times that the things that are so different there than anywhere else. But particularly, I mean, like, and people who don't know, you went to high school, you lived up, I mean, we met in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Yeah.
This is kind of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
In a weird way, that's a huge positive and a huge negative at the same time.
Yeah.
We're like 6 years behind on all fashion and music, period. It's just how it is. Unless you're actually plugged into these scenes and understand shit, like, I think it's hilarious when people are like, "Will you play something contemporary?" It's like, that came out today. No, I mean, like, and they named a song from like 4 years ago, and it's like, oh, you fucking fuck. But that's their, and there is a lot of backwater bullshit that goes on here, obviously, but there's also this potential for culture, because people are so thirsty for it, that
Yeah.
if you really, really get into it and you really, really want it, you see so much more in those people who have something to say. And here, people are a lot less afraid to say it.
Totally. I try to channel my Grand Junction energy as much as I can, because people, I notice people are a lot better at communicating there, and because it's a small town too, it's inevitable that you're going to run into someone that you had conflict with, so it's almost a necessity to know how to communicate and deal with problems. Here, you can just go, I don't want to deal with that problem. I'm just going to avoid this person, block this person, and then you probably won't run into them. You probably will never have to see them. You can, if I wanted to, I could go down to like the social security office tomorrow and change my name and cut everyone out of my life, change my number, and I could be a completely different person, and the chances of anyone running into me is very slim. Like, and it does something to like the psyche, dude. It's fucking crazy.
It's like you have to. Yeah. Okay. You talk about big fish in a little pond, little fish in a big pond. You can get sucked up in that anonymity in a city like that. It can affect who you are and how you do shit. And to me, I think that's why, in many ways, it is so weird there. It's just fucking strange.
It is. It's very weird.
I think a lot of people find that attractive. Like, they think they want that till they see it. Like, everybody's like, my hometown sucks. Everybody. I don't care who the fuck you are. Everybody thinks their hometown sucks till they go see. And I challenge everybody. No one should stay in their hometown their whole fucking life. No one. Ever. You need to move away. You need to at least travel extensively for 6 to 8 months. Experience other shit. Go to other places. And understand everywhere sucks. And everywhere's great. Everywhere can be just as great.
Totally. Like, as much as there's some really shitty things about LA, the stereotypes are definitely real. Like, I've met some of the most beautiful souls here as well, and gotten a dose of culture that I wouldn't have got if I stayed in my hometown my whole life. So
I mean, it's definitely, I mean, it's the culture here is, it is very, very different. There is a lot that goes on here that is backwards. I challenge anybody to open their mind. And the problem I hear a lot of people is they're self-defeating. Oh, it sucks here, so I don't care. You obviously care. So first off, shut up. Second off, do something about it. In my experiences, especially, and it's not just LA, but in all of California and most of Arizona and parts of Nevada, especially up in the Pacific Northwest, when somebody cares about something, they outwardly care about it. They do something about it. Like, they don't say, I love this, and never do it, never experience it.
Yeah.
And in smaller areas and in more rural areas, I think you see that way more.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that that's also a big part of it. But it still doesn't, to me, explain why so many people, as the internet has gotten bigger and as the world has gotten smaller and more readily accessible, why are people now more second-guessing themselves, more trashing themselves, more finding the negative more than the positive? Yes, obviously there's fake media, fake news, reality TV, a lot of trash bullshit that influences that, but really, the world is at everyone's fingertips now. Literally at everybody's fingertips. Why is it so much more prevalent that people will belittle themselves? Like I do, I call it self-hate speech.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. But yeah, again, that's why it's so important to like think for ourselves during this time more than ever. Because anywhere you look, you're going to see that. And so you kind of have to go within and be like, maybe I'm actually a pretty powerful human. We're all fucking powerful. And if more people realize their power, like, it would be a different world.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and of course you've we've never told this story, and I'm gonna tell this story this time because it's kind of funny and it's kind of weird and it's kind of fucked up, but it ended on a really positive down the road, not so positive, but positive initially thing. I remember what in some ways launched your touring music career like it was yesterday. And I remember having to beg you to play shows and beg you to come do stuff, and you just, no, I can't. No, I remember I offered to buy you a fucking guitar at one point.
Yeah.
Because you literally were trying to talk yourself out of playing a show.
Yeah.
The thing you love more than anything else. And I was like, that's fucking dumb, and I'm going to ruin every excuse you have. You're doing it. And I remember you met up with Stitched Up Heart, you opened for them during an acoustic, and it was just over 4 years ago, and I got reminded because Nick's birthday was the other day, and I met Nick on his birthday.
Yeah.
And so I was laughing about that, and then a couple days after that, actually 4 years ago, 2 days ago, we went to Denver, and you kind of got kidnapped by like, you went with, and then you didn't come back.
It was crazy. Yeah. That's like pretty much what happened.
That's okay. In most cases, that's the start of a horror movie.
Right.
And in this case, that was kind of the start of your music career, directly led to the move to Hollywood, obviously. The success you found in music, becoming a Suicide Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of the people that you've met, and so many, like, you've kind of lived the American singer-songwriter dream in a weird way. And you've seen a lot because of it.
Yeah, I got a pretty good taste of it, man. Like, right now I'm living such a low-key life, which is necessary for my peace of mind at this moment. But look, and I'm finally in a place where I can look back on all that and be like, oh my God, that happened. Like, holy shit.
At some point, it stops being surreal, and you start realizing that, like, I mean, I've come out and met you. We hung out in Milwaukee. A little over a year ago. You were on tour, and we hung out in Milwaukee, and then 2 months later, we met up in Denver.
Yeah.
I've only come and visited you twice in California, but we've seen each other. You've come here twice. I've come there twice, but we've seen each other 11 times since you moved.
Yeah. All over the world.
Yeah.
All over.
That's the kind of shit that when people hear that, they're like, wait, what? Yeah. You got to tour. You got to experience things. You saw the great stuff that comes with being in the music industry, and you saw a lot of the bullshit, too.
Yeah, a lot of bullshit. It was fun, but I will say, like, it's not everything it's cracked out to be.
No, everybody has an image of what it's supposed to be. And I've used the reference with you because you've come full circle musically now. And I don't know if you've even seen the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie.
Okay, do you realize you've basically lived that movie now?
Totally, dude. It's wild. And oh my God, like now I live really close to Silverlake, which is my favorite part of Los Angeles. It's very New York-y, Grand Junction-y kind of. It's just a lot of underground. The underground thrives in Silverlake. Everyone that's not in Silverlake calls everyone that lives in Silverlake hipsters, but it's just, I mean, for lack of better words, hipsters, but just way more people focus on the art and less of the look at me thing. And I'm like super into underground music now. Hanging out with artists, like every time we go out to a friend's house, it's like a jam night. And I honestly get so much more fulfillment out of that, where no one knows who the fuck I am, but art is being made, versus, oh my God, yeah, we're on this fucking massive tour in these fucking huge arenas, and like, you know, our song's on the radio, and that life got so draining and so unfulfilling to me. I was like, we're just chasing the dragon, man, and there's never actually a real moment of fulfillment except that little bit of time you're on stage. That's it.
Well, and I've experienced it too, and I used to laugh because the way I toured obviously was very different. When I toured early on, it was rush, get shit done, hope you get paid, hope you eat, hope you find sleep, hope you have a place to stay tonight that's not the back of the fucking van on top of the gear. Lived that very much, but that last set of touring with Drummer was the best because it was like we would go play a show in his Honda. We would go do this and that, and it was always like the next day it was, let's go find this museum, let's go find this zoo, let's go, because it was we wanted to experience where we were.
Yeah, and that's like the whole reason I wanted, well, not the whole reason, but a huge reason I wanted to get into music was because I wanted to go see the world and play music. But the reality of the way I was touring was we didn't see anything except the inside of the RV and the inside of the venue, and occasionally like a truck stop in like a cool city that I've always wanted. It wasn't like actually exploration. It was just grind, perform. And yeah, performing for other people was really fucking cool. That was the payoff, getting to talk to people all over the country. But I don't know, just too much work. And a lot of people that drop out of that circuit, I hear people that are still in the circuit will be like, oh, they quit because it was too hard. And it's like, no, I think I proved I think I proved that I can be a road dog, but I just don't find fulfillment in it. I don't fucking care who knows my name. I just want to enjoy making art because I like to make art.
Well, and my favorite part about being, and you've got an experience. I kidnap you every time we see each other, and we always go to some place or go have food or do something. That's, to me, like, that's why I'm enjoying now, like, when I get to travel as a photographer or a videographer. It's a lot more fun because I get to take people with and show them all the shit that I've seen, or all the shit that I was like, man, I made a mental note that I wanted to go see this when I was here before, but I had no time. And I think that it counts for a lot. It really does count for a lot to be able to say, I've traveled and experienced, rather than I've traveled and peed a bunch of places, because that's all we had time to do.
Yeah, there was literally an app that a lot of the band members would use, and the crew members, where it's like places I've pooped.
Yeah.
And literally the highlight of this tour is tracking locations that we've pooped all around the country.
Yeah. And people think that it's like this dream existence, and it is to an extent. I mean, I don't regret a single moment of any of my music career, only the people that I've lost through it.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some real lows. There are some times where it doesn't matter what you're going through or what other people are going through. The disconnection, the idea of the fights, the arguments that people didn't get to see, where I was fighting with somebody, you know, in the band 10 minutes before we take stage, and nobody in the real world knows that
No.
me and the lead singer literally just got in a screaming match in the back, or, you know, I got fired from a band right after being on MTV and left in fucking LA. I got left there. And people forget that shit. That's not the shit that goes out normal. Like, it happens. That's real life.
Dude, yeah, there were so many times that it was time for me to perform, and I literally had to, like, wipe my tears off because I had just gotten into a huge fight with someone backstage, and someone said something, like, extremely biting, because it's 7 to 10 egos in a fucking tiny-ass space, traveling all over the place, not being able to shower, not being able to take a shit when you need to take a shit, like, and so, like, you know, screaming match in the back, wipe tears off, put on a happy face, and go sing your heart out. Like, people don't know that, and you can't talk about it. Like, you can't be like, sorry, guys, I'm having a bad night. I just got in a fight with, like, a musician that you fucking adore because they were being a dick and you don't know this side of them. Like, all that shit. It's humans. It's just humans. Everybody is human.
Well, and as much as I do not like cancel culture, I do not. It's so dangerous. It's so dangerous to fall into that. Somebody said this; it must be true. And there's a lot of that goes hand in hand with this whole idea. But that, in many ways, brings up a lot of. I know some really bad stuff about people that I used to look up to, and I don't ever go public. I don't ever go out and be like, well, this person did this or that person did that. I just no longer associate with those people. And people have asked me over time, like, well, why don't you deal with that? Why don't you deal with this? Why don't you talk to that person anymore? And a lot of that comes hand in hand with the idea of, and I mean, you've seen it firsthand. You've witnessed me dealing with somebody you were really close to, and I had to just kind of wash my hands of it, and it sucked. It's affected my relationship, not just with that person, but their band, with their entire group. But you'll never see anything public about it because it's not major. Obviously, there are those cases of people who are, you know, sexual allegations, shit like that. That shit should be made public. But there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize. Some of your idols, some of your magic, some of the people who inspire you to do the best are some of the worst fucking people. And you would never know that until you've lived that life and traveled the hard road side by side with them. And a lot of people, it's not that they're not strong enough to stick out that out. They go, you know what, this ain't for me. I'm not going to lie to everybody I know about this person being great. They're a shithead.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's something you've dealt with.
Yeah, I think it takes a strong person to give up something that everyone glorifies. Like, I think it takes a strong person to do that because you're going to get so much slack, so many questions, and you to be like, well, I know I was living a dream that most people would fucking kill for, and I just gave it up, but like my peace of mind now is a lot better. I may not seem that grounded because I do live in the city of neurosis, but I'm way more than I've been in a long time as far as that all goes.
Well, then let's talk future then. Like, I know
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about it. I have recently started putting stuff together where I really am going to send you music and you're going to fucking sing and you don't have a choice. Because,
Okay.
damn it, that's going to happen. But musically, you've had a little bit more come out. And it's been more experimental for you. Are you going to do more of that? Or are you finally going back to your roots? Like, what are you doing?
I do enjoy like featuring on other artists' tracks, and it usually ends up being EDM and house music, which is probably what you're talking about with the experimental stuff.
Yeah.
And that's fun to me because I can appreciate EDM culture, like the culture that surrounds it. I fucking love it. I don't really listen to EDM regularly. Um, I love branching out and combining genres. I love that because I don't know, music's a universal language, and when you can be like, well, like I'm covered in tattoos and I like to play folk music, but I'm going to feature on this track that a porn star made for me, like a house or an EDM track, like I think that's really cool. It's bringing cultures together. Like I love that. But for me now, like I have my violin sitting in front of me, I have my acoustic guitar, and I'm I'm in contact with a lot of producers right now that are doing more like the stuff that my roots, like Conor Oberst's Bright Eyes kind of stuff, like a little bluegrassy type of stuff, and that's what comes naturally to me when I sit down to write, and that's what sets my soul on fire, So I'm definitely going back to that. Playing like smaller venues and Silverlake when stuff opens up, like that's something that I really want to do. I've been working with my best girlfriend Anna for a while now, and our voices she's actually calling me right now. That's so funny.
That's amazing. The timing.
Right? Yeah, she's like my musical soulmate, and we just sing together. Like, we don't even have to go like, you're gonna sing the lead, I'm gonna sing this part. We just automatically do it, like have telepathy. And so we've been working on some stuff as well. I've been working with my friends out in the valley that have a music studio in their house. So yeah, just a lot of going back to the roots and actually just working with really talented artists that don't care about the fame, they just care about the art. And it's really fucking nice. Really nice.
See, I told you. You're Mark Wahlberg.
I know. Hey, all night you feel my heat.
Well, I'm glad that things are like you seem to have handled being in.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I guess I just look at you've handled this whole thing this year in a really, because you've been going through so much personally. I find it really interesting how you handled the rest of the world kind of falling apart, in that you've done it in such a kind of healthy, positive way, like hiking all the time and doing the different things you're doing, and it's, I don't know, for me, obviously we're going on record here with the being recorded on podcast, but like I'm genuinely proud of who you've become and watching you.
Thank you.
So, and I asked you this, of course, like, what's one song that you just can't stop listening to?
Oh man. Oh, there's a song called "Cocaine Jesus" by Rainbow Kitten Surprise, and it sounds hilarious, but fucking cool song. I highly recommend everyone listens to it.
Okay. and I'm going to call you out. Have you watched any of the movies on that giant list I sent you because you demanded that I do so? Not one.
No,
God, you're fucking
no.
weird.
The last movie that I watched was Death Proof, Quentin Tarantino.
I mean, quality, at least.
Great movie, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But now I have.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time. I know that this was one of those, like, we... I love that nobody knows what goes into doing one of these, because it's literally like, okay, tomorrow at 2. No, 2:30. No, wait, I can't be tomorrow. It's going to have to be... And, yeah. Or we record an entire episode and there's no sound. Shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're doing well. Don't sign off there yet. I'm going to turn all this shit off. But first, do me a favor and shout out where you want people to like find you and follow you on social media.
Instagram is the best place. It's at official Dahlia. You can find me there.
And I'm going to do one of those fancy little, like, I'm going to put it on the screen so people can see it. Like, so it'll be up for a second. So, all right. Well, thank you for your time and have a good day.
Thank you, Eric.
Say my name, fuck it up. Tell me you think I'm pretty. Hold me down, tear it up. No, I don't want your pity. Everything that you say